Hey, Shines here. Welcome to another video.
Mayday, this is SH1. We're going through a wormhole and I don't know how much longer my ship can take this.
Okay, that was weird. But today we're gonna get into the crazy world of patching on this, the Mother-32 from Moog. It is a beautiful single-voice analog synthesizer with a patch bay. So what's so special about a patch bay? Synthesizers create sound based on circuitry, and those circuits in order will fine-tune the sound created by the oscillator to eventually output the sound that you want to perform with. Whether nice and beautiful, or downright experimental. Some of the earliest synthesizers ever invented did not have an order to their circuitry like this. Take a look at this early model from Moog. Each sound generating or tweaking circuit was kept separate. So as synthesizers got more high-tech, they got more refined and I would say a little bit more closed. Companies like Roland and Korg came out with these really amazing experiences, but they were all designed to create sounds based on the circuitry that was already there. So a trend we're seeing today with modular synths is, what if we could take a synthesizer and tweak all of its circuitry? What if you could reverse their order or bypass some circuits completely? So that brings us back to the Mother-32. This synthesizer's goal was to give us the experience of a patchable modular synthesizer with the versatility and effortless beauty of the Moog sound. Let's get into this. There are 32 patch points on the synth, with the in patch points for receiving signal and the out patch points for sending signal. They're designated here by typeface. Even though the synth will create sound normally without any tweaking necessary, by plugging patch cables in, you're reconnecting the various points on the synth, finding ways to send electrical voltage to places that normally they wouldn't go. You'll notice that a lot of the patch points correspond directly to one of the knobs on the synth. So by patching into those points, you can ultimately override that knob or use control voltage to turn that knob for you. Now, I could go through each of the 32 patch points in detail, but for the sake of time, let's break them down into three main groups. We're gonna call group one the voice. It's the biggest group because the entire point of this synth is its voice. Here, you're gonna find patch points that control the pitch circuit, the volume or amplifier as they call it, and even a place to plug in an external instrument. You'll also find the LFO, or the low frequency oscillator, in this section. Now, LFO is normally used for modulation, but by patching it into the external audio in, you can actually hear what kind of sounds it creates as well. The second group is what I like to call synth utilities. These are patch points that you'll find on many modular synthesizers and will do some pretty cool things, such as mixing two signals together or splitting one signal into two. This is the section that has the assign output point, which it has 16 different modes that you can set it up to in the menu, but once you do, you now have access to things like clock division, and that is going to take your patching to a whole new level. For example, if I have my synthesizer playing on a regular tempo, but my assignable output is set to a clock division of, say, 3, I could start pulsing polyrhythms to various circuits on the synth. But let's move on. The third group is similar to the second group in that it's utilities, but these are mostly for Mother-32's built-in sequencer, controlling the tempo or triggering things based on the note played by the keyboard. By no means am I saying you need to keep these groups separate when patching. The whole point of the synth is to just plug things in and see what happens. So let's run through a couple examples. If I patch the keyboard notes to control the mix knob, which is how you add noise to sound, the higher the note I play, the more noise is added to the sound. If I then add a gate trigger to the filter cutoff frequency, the sound's gonna get a little crazier. Lastly, I'm gonna patch the LFO into the external audio patch point, and it's gonna bypass the white noise, and it's gonna let us hear the voice of the LFO along with the regular sawtooth oscillator. So that's a weird example, but I think it's a good starting point, and we're gonna get even weirder now. If I want my sequence to be playing at, say, an insane speed, let's bypass this tempo circuit and use the LFO rate to kick the sequence into hyperspeed. So let's get the note played by the keyboard to control the rate of the LFO so that when the lower notes are played, the LFO is going to oscillate slower. I'm going to set the sequence to play in random mode. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, I do have a whole tutorial on the sequencer. You can check it out here. And now I have an erratic, unpredictable sound generation machine that seems to have a mind of its own. Now, I'm not going to get too far into the insane capabilities of the synth because doing so might actually mess with the fabric of space and time. And you don't want to do that, at least without a great pair of headphones. Speaking of great pair of headphones, a word from today's sponsor.
Can anyone hear me? This is SH1 calling. I have traveled through a wormhole at the far end of my solar system, and I have come out on the other side. I am alive. Life support is still holding. Hyperdrive oscillators are still in tune. I repeat, this is SH1 calling for immediate search and rescue.
Huh, there it goes again. I'll have to keep an eye on my equipment, make sure nothing's interrupting my broadcast or opening up any wormholes. Anyways, hopefully you learned a thing or two about patching and are eager to jump in and get experimenting with chaos. Thanks so much again for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.